Alright guys, it's time for Marvel Studios She-Hulk Attorney-at-Law Episode 3 on Disney+. And I am absolutely exhausted. I didn't get home until midnight last night. I woke up at 3 to watch She-Hulk, so yeah, life's good. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and talk about this, even though I can barely keep my eyes open. You know, we got to talk about it because it's a new episode, MCU content. There's some pretty interesting stuff going on here. So, of course, guys, if you haven't seen it yet, spoiler warning, of course, make sure to go check it out on Disney+. But for now, guys, let's go ahead and jump into this and break down Marvel Studios She-Hulk Attorney-at-Law, Episode 3, titled The People vs. Emil Blonsky. So, of course, following up after last week's kind of cliffhanger with it being revealed on the news that there's this leaked footage of Abomination fighting in the underground fight club from Shang-Chi. So that's not really good when it comes to Jen trying to get him out on parole. So of course she goes to him in the cube, confronts him, tries to figure out what's going on, what happened, why did you escape, who helped you, all this stuff, and basically says that it wasn't his choice. He was forced to leave against his will by Wong. And so then we get the introduction of Wong to the series, which is great. And I love how, Jen even mentions, like, don't worry, guys, this is not a cameo show, so don't look forward to that. Even though, there's Bruce and Blonsky, and now Wong. Plus, we got Daredevil coming, and who knows who else. Frogman, of course, or Leapfrog, whatever they're calling him. So she says it's not a cameo show, but, I mean, it's been marketed as a cameo show, so it's a cameo show. And I also love the mention of, like, how we all love Wong. Like, Wong is literally the MVP of Phase 4. He has had so many appearances. This is his 4th appearance in Phase 4 of the MCU. It's absolutely insane. He's had more appearances than Doctor Strange himself, which is just crazy. I also love how we get to see that he actually has a LinkedIn profile, and he actually apparently used to work as a Target employee. So that's not something I expected from Wong, but you know what? Go Wong. Good for you, making a living. But anyway, so we have that kind of main lawyer storyline going on in this episode. Jen is defending Emil Blonsky with Wong as a witness. But then we also have our B storyline here, as Jen actually mentions when she breaks the fourth wall of like, the connection between our A and B storyline. Where we have Josh Segarra's character of Pug. He is going to be defending Dennis. And Dennis is, of course, the absolute misogynistic jerk that we saw in the first couple episodes, who just is not a good guy, clearly does not have a good relationship with Jen. Literally, I believe it was last episode where he saw an attractive woman in the bar and he said, I'm going to go talk to it. I hate this guy. But, so he actually has a case here for GLK&H because he has supposedly been scammed by a new Asgard light elf who can shapeshift, and he thought was Megan Thee Stallion. So he fell in love with her, all this stuff, and he was scammed. And so to just recap that part of it real quick, I mean, obviously they won the case. It was interesting, to say the least. It was really cool seeing kind of some of the the fact that we have an Asgardian light elf here, kind of just exploring the mythos of Asgard and just doing a lot of world building here in the MCU. Also, Pug is just amazing, as always. We got introduced to him in the first episode, and now he's great. He's a really good character. And also, of course, you can't forget that the real Megan Thee Stallion did actually show up in the courtroom as well. This was, this is something we've known about for months now, that she was going to be appearing in the show, and it was confirmed, like, yesterday or the day before by the trade. They're like, she's going to be showing up. So she shows up, and we also see her in the post-credits scene, which we'll talk about at the end of the video, because it's an interesting one for sure. But as for our main storyline in this episode, again, back to the whole People versus Emil Blonsky, we do actually get to meet his 7 soulmates that he was referencing in last week's episode. Some of us thought that maybe that was the Thunderbolts they were referencing. Turns out, no, not at all. It's literally just these huge fans of Blonsky and Abomination who were, like, kind of in love with him. And, yeah. So that really didn't turn into anything big, but still cool. I like that. It's kind of a play on like how in real life, like real life serial killers, you'll see that there are people that are actually like obsessed with them and actually have like these sick fantasies and are in love with them. It's pretty crazy, but I do like that kind of a element added in here. But then also, of course, Wong, he shows up, he fully admits the truth, like, yeah, I forced him out of here. It was against his will. I basically broke the law. And once the jury mentions that, they're like, you literally just you admitted to committing a crime. He's like, oh yeah, that's my cue to leave. And so then he just hops out of portal, and they just let him leave. Like, it's Wong. You can't stop him. But then after Abomination actually kind of Abomination's out, Emil, he shows that he is fully in control of Abomination. He can control himself. Jen ends up winning the case, and Abomination is let out on parole with the condition that he is going to have an inhibitor that will make it so that he is not able to transform into Abomination, cause any more damage like he did in Harlem back in 2008. So that's good. That's all good. Our two main storylines are lawyer cases, our courtroom cases. They're solved. They're won in this episode. And I did really enjoy that, actually seeing, this show is described as a half-hour legal comedy. So I do like seeing the kind of courtroom side of things. But then after this, we go over to Jen. She is, going home from her victory, and she gets ambushed by the Wrecking Crew, which in the comics is a team of basically random construction workers who end up getting these Asgardian powers bestowed upon them on their construction tools and weapons. So you have the Wrecker, you have Thunderball, Pile Driver, Bulldozer. So it's a really interesting group that I've really been excited to see in this series, and it's a very deconstructed form of the team that we see in the comics. It's kind of a more so just the characters in name and kind of in concept of just like, okay, it's guys with Asgardian powered weapons. And that's pretty much all it is. So I am kind of disappointed that we don't have them actually in their, comics accurate outfits and all that stuff. Who knows, maybe later. But what is most interesting about this to me is that one of them, Thunderbolt, actually, he tries to steal the blood of She-Hulk because he tries to stab her with a needle. It's not able to pierce her skin because, she's hulked out. And after this, they retreat, and he says something about like, oh, our boss is going to be so mad about this. So this is clearly setting up our big bad of the season. But who is it? We don't know. And this is really interesting to me because I think it's, it's being set up in a similar way to Kingpin in Hawkeye, where it's built up as like, okay, there's this mysterious guy behind the scenes who's kind of puppeteering everything, and then we get the big reveal at the end of the season. So I feel like it's going to be a similar thing here. And the only question is, who is this big bad? Who is their boss? Now, fingers crossed, and my main theory is that it is going to be Samuel Stearns, aka the Leader. Of course, Tim Blake Nelson played that character, or Mr. Blue, in The Incredible Hulk back in 2008. And we haven't seen him since then. Some tie-in prelude comics and that kind of stuff has mentioned that he's been in S.H.I.E.L.D. custody over the years, but I think it would be really cool to finally get to see the Leader in live action, finally follow up after that big cliffhanger in that movie, and get to see that finally brought to life in this She-Hulk Disney Plus series. Plus, the Leader, that's literally what he does. He makes plans, he's super smart, he leads people, and it's all against the Hulks. So it would make so much sense if the Wrecking Crew was working for him, and likely other Hulk villains that we'll be seeing throughout the series. And also the fact that the Wrecking Crew and this boss is after She-Hulk's blood, because that's exactly what Mr. Blue, Samuel Stearns, the Leader, was doing in The Incredible Hulk 2008. He got Bruce's blood, he duplicated it, he saw the potential for it, he wanted Bruce's blood, so this makes a lot of sense. But then again, just a theory, so it could be wrong, could be right, could be somewhere in between. But that is where the episode ends. For the most part, we do, of course, like I said, have that post-credit scene, which features the real Megan Thee Stallion being signed as on for She-Hulk. So She-Hulk is going to be Megan Thee Stallion's lawyer. and they both start working together in her office. And this was interesting. Definitely not something I expected to see. I didn't mind seeing it, but it was unexpected. That's that's all I'm gonna say about that for now. But guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What did you think about Marvel Studios' She-Hulk Attorney at Law episode 3 on Disney Plus? What did you think about the cameo from the real Megan Thee Stallion? What did you think about Dennis and his whole case? What did you think about Abomination's case? We got the Wrecking Crew, and who do you think this mysterious boss is? So anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Please drop a like if you enjoyed this video, and hit the subscribe button so I can keep up to date on everything that goes on in the Marvel life.